Hello everybody, my name is Dratnos, and in this video we're going to take a look at one of the new features announced at BlizzCon for the upcoming announcement for World of Warcraft, Shadowlands. So this is an infinite dungeon called Torghast, Tower of the Damned, that's going to be coming out, and this, to me, was the most exciting part of the announcement for Shadowlands. There were a lot of, little things that were pretty hype about the Shadowlands announcements, a lot of, small directions that they're taking certain features that I thought were good. But my favorite new thing was this Torghast Tower of the Damned. So what is this exactly? Well, it's an infinite dungeon that you can play with 1 to 5 people, so it scales based on your group size, and apparently you're going to be able to do it with any group composition, which is interesting. I don't know exactly how that's going to work out. I have some concerns about whether or not that will be possible to balance reasonably. I wonder whether it's going to be possible for it to both be challenging even for a good comp that's well optimized and has a good set of complementing abilities, while also being doable for a less good comp. But one way that might be possible is that this is a tower that is infinite. There's as many levels as you can complete, and it just gets harder the higher up you go. So that might be a way where, okay, the less skilled or the less, powerful group compositions could maybe just make it a little bit less far up the tower. I do worry a little bit that, maybe the best way to do this is just going to be one Havoc Demon Hunter, and that's going to be the highest way to get to the top of the tower, is just to just play solo play solo as one Havoc Demon Hunter. We'll have to see, but it's really exciting. So yeah, scalable dungeon, 1 to 5 players, and you get new challenges and complexity as you climb the tower. One thing that is nice about this as well is that it might not matter too much whether or not you can do 20 levels or 40 levels or however many, because it doesn't look like this is going to be a source of gear in the new expansion. It looks like it's only going to be for picking up legendaries and runes and stuff. So you might be able to just get everything you need out of doing, maybe it just takes you a little bit longer. You have to do a couple more runs if you can't go as high up. But you can still collect all the same things that somebody else would be able to do in a more optimized group comp. And this is really exciting, right? Because, right now in the game, there's not really all that much you can do if you're by yourself or you have a couple of other friends on, but you don't have enough for a full Mythic Plus group, or maybe you don't have a good composition for a Mythic Plus group right now. You have, 2 healers and no tank online, something like that. That's something that happens all the time, right? And you're kind of scrounging to put together a group, and you end up not really having a good time in Mythic Plus. Torghast might be an awesome solution for that kind of stuff and fill a bunch of time in the game right now that you instead just kind of well, I guess I'll go do world quests. And if this is what we spend all of our kind of, garbage time that we don't have a full group doing instead of world quests, I think that's going to be awesome. So this is heavily inspired by games of the roguelike genre. That's it's games that have this permadeath mode where you ascend, you move through a series of challenges, and each run is different because of procedurally generated stuff, and because of unique things that change how your character plays. And this mode features those same effects as well. So we have these Anima powers that you'll unlock during a run for the duration of that run that change how your spec works, or give you other things that aren't related to your spec. So there are some things that just kind of anybody can get here, like you see this Oblivion Spikes ability. You can get increased critical damage and healing by 10%, which, as we're learning with these kind of corrupted items and benthic items in live right now, that's a big power level increase. And anybody can pick these up. Or there are class-specific and even spec-specific Anima options that you can get as you start ascending this tower. So maybe your Flame Shock you can make it so your Flame Shock lasts forever, or you can make it so your Fire Elemental lasts forever, but you can't cast Frost spells, which is pretty cool. That's a kind of a cool little trade-off. Neat stuff like that are options. Then there's also, you can get things that are just for your Covenant. So Covenants are a feature that I haven't done a video on yet, but I will soon. And there are, things that will change how your Covenant ability works here. And then there are things that interact with specific enemies in the tower, right? So the tower is full of these little maw rats, and you can take a benefit that makes maw rats explode on death. So maybe then if you pick up this thing, you can do this strategy where you pull 30 maw rats on top of an elite enemy that was going to be a problem for you, and you kill them all and they explode and cause this chain reaction and nuke down the tough enemy at the same time, which would be, a really cool answer to that. Or maybe you're in an area that doesn't have any maw rats, and choosing this has done something is not very effective choice. So that's a pretty cool thing. It's easy to imagine this, the power, whether or not this is the right choice changes depending on what the layout of the tower looks like. And it seems like the layout of the tower is going to change a little bit with each run, but it's also going to change on like they're gonna do changes to the structure of the tower and what enemies and what effects are going on in the tower on like every so often they'll introduce an event to the tower that changes stuff in there for the next couple weeks or whatever, which is a really cool way to do that. There are a couple of other Anima powers as well. So we talked about the spec specific ones. There's also kind of like role specific ones and ones that sort of combo with each other. And this is something that is a big feature of roguelike games, is that you're kind of trying to assemble these combinations of, two abilities that do something cool, and then when put together, they're more than the sum of their parts. So here we see, right, there's an ability that means your attacks have a chance to deal some shadow damage over time, and then there's a proc you can get that says when you deal shadow damage, you blind the target, reducing their chance to hit by 75% for 12 seconds. So either one of these might be useful. Shadowed Iris here, this might be useful if you just have shadow damage as part of your kit. And Corruption Antenna, adding a dot to your damage is useful. You pick up both of these, and now you're suddenly proccing this dot on targets that is also proccing a defensive benefit on them. So assembling these kind of benefits in ways that will combine usefully for you is going to be really cool. And it's going to be interesting, actually, I think, like in these bigger groups, kind of planning out with your whole group what Anima powers you're going to take for the run might be really awesome. And I hope that this actually does have I hope that there is a good reason to try and push as far as possible in this tower. I mean, even if there's not really a good reason, we'll do it for the glory, but trying to be like the team that makes it up to level 50 or whatever a high number level is going to be a really cool thing to do. So that's all we know about the tower so far. Infinite dungeon, you just go up in levels. It gets harder. Things are kind of simple at the lower levels, and then they start adding like traps and more difficult types of enemies as you ascend the tower more. You're kind of always trying to go up, although it's not a timed mode, which is an important thing here. So it's not like Mythic Plus, and there's no pressure to ascend as quickly as you can. So if you're interested, if you're playing this by yourself and you just want to chill out and like explore every room and see if there's anything cool in any of the rooms, that's something that's going to be an option for you. And it seems like there's good reason to do this. Especially for building your first couple legendaries. You're going to likely want to make sure you ascend Torghast a couple times to get the legendaries that you want, because in Shadowlands, you're going to be able to craft your own legendaries that are, like, you decide what slot they're in, you decide what powers they have on them, and the stuff where you're going to get that, a lot of it's going to come from Torghast. So you'll definitely want to do enough Torghast to get those. But then after that, you can probably keep doing the tower. If you want to be able to have access to any legendary you want to build all the legendaries or whatever, that climbing Torghast is going to be a way to do that. And it just looks like it's going to be a fun mode. So I'm personally extremely hyped for this feature of Shadowlands. This is my favorite one so far. One cool thing as well is there are these like options where you're going to get to choose something to complement your group comp here. So let's see. Let me move my camera a little bit so you can see this better. For instance, you might be offered a choice between getting like a tank hound that can stun enemies and draw their attention, or like a DPS hound that can do AoE damage and silence enemies. That's a pretty cool way to augment your group. You might be able to sort of make these choices that are dependent, like, hey, if you're playing with that comp of 2 healers and 3 DPS or whatever, then you could just pick up Horgirl, the Shade Hound, and use that as your tank for the rest of the run. So my main concerns with this are, how do you balance this mode for such that it's doable and fun for casual players, and also engaging and gets difficult for higher level players, and also that it still feels like there's an incentive and a reward for pushing as high as you can, but also that it's like you get sufficient rewards without having to super min max your comp. That's going to be a tough challenge for Blizzard to solve. My expectation is they'll probably land a little bit more on the side of pretty much anybody can do this and get everything they need out of it, and there's probably not going to be a huge incentive for pushing as high as you can besides just some glory and fun, and I think that's going to be okay. I'm not too hurt about that. I think that's going to be fine. This is still my favorite feature. I love roguelike games, which these are games like Slay the Spire, FTL, Faster Than Light. Those are all they're sort of roguelike games, and those are the things that have inspired this mode. So Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this video. The zone looks beautiful. I can't wait to go there. Very Ice Crown Citadel themed, because of course this is the tower that we see in that kind of key art here. That's like up poking through into Azeroth, and Ice Crown Citadel is inverted on the other side, where Sylvanas. Spoilers on the story, by the way. Sylvanas broke open the helmet. I mean, this was in the trailer. I'm not sorry about this spoiler. Anyways, I gotta get out of here before I ramble for too long. Thanks everybody for watching. Check out my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/Dratnos. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.